Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the final Texas League weekly video podcast episode of the 2024-2025 season. I am one of your hosts, Dwayne Devastator. I won the consolation bracket again, Morrow, along with my co-host. Gentlemen, introduce yourselves.
Well, today I'm going to call myself Robert, the runner-up for the championship Caldwell. Math is king. We put forth a valiant effort, but came up short.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
You're on mute,
And
John.
and one last time this season, Jared's on mute.
Oh, you heard my son in the background? Well, I guess that makes me Jared Cowan, aka the commish, aka Stairway to Evans, third place team.
All right, gentlemen.
At least I want some money.
As did I.
Hold up, did
We
I?
all, we all technically won some money.
Oh, that's right. I won the division. I forgot about that.
Indeed,
Your, your,
indeed.
your
So
fees are
hey,
paid for next year, Miss Caldwell.
I'm okay
and
with this.
and my fees are reduced for next season. So
That is
basically,
true.
my weekly high score portion of my fees are reduced next year, since I will continue to participate.
Oh, absolutely.
So hey, it is what it is. Uh, all right. So Jared, send us out with our kickoff question, good sir.
This is the last episode of the season, but I'm going to make you go back to the beginning of the season. What is one thing that I'm not going to necessarily call it a mistake, but what is one thing that you wish you had done differently, whether it be in the draft or in waiver wire pickups that you think would have changed your season?
Hmm.
Well, y'all think about it. I know what mine is.
Go ahead.
Going in, I went in on CJ Stroud. I had faith in CJ Stroud, and I thought he was going to do something. He really didn't. And I pulled it up. I believe I drafted CJ Stroud in the second round. I'm like, what was I thinking? Why would
Hmm.
I do something? And I think that cost me some matchups. I went and got me a new quarterback later in the season to carry me through, but I think had I just got another quarterback earlier, just not went in on the CJ Stroud, my team would have been built a little different. And I might have been able to make the finals. But you know what? As they say, you can't cry over spilled milk. You can't change the past.
I don't think I would change anything personally with my draft, but I would say as a different kudos in the draft, picking up Baker Mayfield definitely was a good thing for me. Yeah, he might have had 1 or 2 weeks where he didn't really give me much, but on a consistent basis, he gave me a solid 25 plus points every week. And he showed out during my championship game, and Yo Cousin had 0 points in defense, and I still couldn't do it. But again, we'll get to that in a minute.
Indeed. So I'm also going to say the same thing. I also think that quarterback was one of my more challenging positions this season. And there were a couple of times where my quarterback cost me a game, but I actually put that more towards the reason why I got knocked out of the playoffs was lineup decision. I ended the season on a 3 game losing streak. Winning one of those games would have put me in the playoffs, and it basically came down to lineup decisions and second guessing myself. So, yeah. So, my team built the way it was. Like I said, as you could see towards the end of the season, my 3 running backs did exactly what I knew they would do as the season went on. So, if you look at Saquon, Josh Jacobs, and Jonathan Taylor's performances the last 4 to 5 weeks of the season, they were carrying my team. It's just wide receiver uncertainty ended up being the thing that killed me. But other than that, you know, the fact of the matter is those things can be hit or miss. So as mentioned already, can't cry over spilled milk. But yeah, I thought we had a solid season overall. 2 close games kept us out of the playoffs, but yeah, great question. Great question. Okay, gentlemen, let's get into some of the top stories from week 17's top story being Saquon Barkley broke the 2,000-yard mark and has a shot at breaking Eric Dickerson's single season rushing record. Should the Eagles let him go for the record?
Again, I would say no, only because you don't want a player to get injured and then miss your chances at the playoffs. Then on another personal side, I like Eric Dickerson, and I like what he said. I think Eric Dickerson's a class act. Someone asked him, "Do you want to see him break a record?" He goes, "No, flat out no." If he does, he does. But I did it in 16 games, so if he can't break it in 16 games, is it really a record to be broken? I'm like, you know what? I respect that comment.
I don't. I don't, because this the same crap they tried to say about
I know,
baseball when
I know.
Roger Maris broke it. No, there's no asterisk. You do it in the season. You do it in the time frame you do it in. Period. So yeah, Eric Dickerson can put an asterisk next to it in his brain. But if Saquon was to go out and break the record, that'd be the new record. Period.
Yeah, it would be.
So
The thing is this: if he wants to put an asterisk by it, he should put an asterisk by his.
Yeah,
OJ did it in 14. If you want to talk about more games, OJ did it in 14. So do we need
I
to put
forgot about that.
I didn't think about that either.
I actually forgot that OJ did it in 14 games.
So what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
And the crazy thing is, he's lucky he even has the record, because Adrian Peterson already said, had he realized how close he was,
he would have broken it.
And he's like, I would have went back in and broke the damn record. So I respect it. So it has been announced that the Eagles are not going to play Saquon, but I can say that the pettiness in me that would have known I have a chance to go break this record against the team that let me go, that let me walk for a quarterback that ain't even on the roster anymore in New York. Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
I would definitely want to go out there and play this game and break it, just to give the front office my black behind the kiss one more time. This season.
And give the Giants fans something else to be mad about. Like, why did we let him go again?
But at the same time, I also know that sometimes karma can come back and bite you when you have that spirit. So I get it. The goal is the Super Bowl, not the single season rushing record. So they're doing the right thing by getting him ready for the playoffs, especially since they're already locking into the number 2 seed. No matter what happens, the winner of the Detroit Minnesota game will have the number 1 seed, which in itself is absolutely crazy that Minnesota and Detroit are going to the number 1 seed, fight for the number 1 seed in the playoffs. So that's crazy right there. But yeah. All right. Second question. This weekend, Jayden Daniels led his team to a comeback victory right at the end to lock in a playoff spot for the Commanders. The Bears, of course, have been eliminated for weeks. So my question is, do you think that if the Bears and Commanders quarterbacks were swapped, that they would still be in their current positions?
Nope.
Yeah, I agree. No, Washington has a different skill set of players than Chicago does. So I think Washington would still be doing better.
Okay.
I don't know. Caleb Williams, I'm not really sold on Caleb Williams. Let's be honest. I'm not sold on him, but he'd have more targets around him.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I also, again, Caleb Williams may turn out to be great. He's a rookie quarterback on a team that's in a bit of a rebuilding. But again, part of it is bad teams. Some of it is decision making. You can see flashes of the brilliance. You can see it, that he's got the tool set. But I think that he's one of those players who thought the game was going to be a lot easier when he got to the NFL, and he realized very quickly, oh no, this ain't the Pac-12. These are all grown men. That's that backyard, just throw it up stuff don't work here. You got to actually play the game if you're going to be successful here. So I think that we're going to see a very different Caleb Williams next season. But Jayden Daniels to me he's clearly the offensive NFL rookie of the year. So shout out to the man. And then my last question as we roll into week 18, who is your NFL MVP this season?
Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna say Burrow, honestly. I mean, really? Burrow has been, I know. Not Cincinnati, just Burrow.
Right.
I don't want to get it twisted. Burrow has been actually playing lights out. His defense has been letting him down. like hands down. He's been so close in so many. Even the Tank Chargers game, I'm like, oh man, he's gonna pull off this comeback. I'm like, no, his defense let my guys up. I'm like, all right, we good. His defense let him down again. So it's like I would have to say Joe Burrow. Now, if you're going with just winning teams, honestly, I'm going to probably say Lamar. It'd have to be probably Lamar Jackson for me if you go with
Really?
playoff teams. But if not, I'd say Joe Burrow.
Okay, that's interesting. And Joe Burrow does currently lead the NFL in both passing yards and touchdowns, while only having 8 interceptions. He's got 4,600 passing yards, so he's got an outside, got a decent shot at cracking 5,000 passing yards this year. He's just, 69.8, 70% passing, 42 touchdowns against 8 interceptions. And yeah, Lamar has 3,955, so he's about to have his first 4,000 yard season finally. Uh, 39 touchdowns against just 4 interceptions passing. And then I think, he has a few rushing touchdowns thrown in here
Mm-hmm.
and there, which of course, and Lamar also broke the all-time QB rushing
Yeah,
record
broke Michael
last
Vick's
week.
record.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Jared?
I'm gonna be a homer. I know he's not gonna win it, but Baker Mayfield.
I can see
Just
that.
that's a homer pick. I can admit that. He's third in the league in yards. He's second in touchdowns. If he didn't have 15 interceptions, he might very well be in
He's
consideration.
he's
That's fair.
tied for second in touchdowns,
I
technically, with Lamar.
think it's him and Lamar.
Yeah, him
Like
and
you said,
Lamar.
39 each.
Yes.
He like I said, them 15 interceptions don't help the cause at all.
Yeah.
And like our defense is very suspect.
But nothing ventured, nothing gained. I don't necessarily hold high interceptions against a quarterback when the team is winning because, if that's the case, Brett Favre and Brett Favre, Peyton Manning, Aaron
Mm-hmm.
Rodgers, all those boys would be looked at as mediocre. So yeah, okay,
I do have a question though. Just to add
sure.
on to your 3 questions, I do have one that I just saw
Wait,
this morning.
hold on. Okay, I did not give
Oh, my
mine.
apologies. I apologize. Go ahead, sir.
I know it's not going to happen because it's a quarterback-driven award. I think Saquon should win
No,
MVP.
that's fair too. I do respect that. I do
I think
respect that.
has any player in recent history switched teams? What player has any running back switched teams and done what he's done in recent history that you can think of?
I don't think ever in history, to be honest. Not go for 2,000 the very next year with a different team and a
Thank you.
different scheme. No, I don't
Right.
think anyone's ever done it.
So that's why I personally think Saquon should be because he's doing and then the crazy part is if he wasn't on the team with the patented tush push
Mm-hmm.
touchdown stealing move, he would have probably broken the single season touchdown rushing record too.
Just
You
can't let
look at
LaDainian Thompson keep anything, can you?
I nothing against LT, but I'm just saying. The man has 13 rushing touchdowns, and I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
think. Let me see how many rushing touchdowns does Jalen Hurts now?
That'd be at least 8 or 9.
14.
14.
Oh, Jesus.
So now imagine.
You would have hide it.
Exactly. So you can imagine that even 8 of those should probably have gone to Saquon, and on any other team without that play in their repertoire, at least 8 of those would have gone to Saquon. So he would have had outside shots at breaking both. Now, if he had outside shots at breaking both the single season rushing and
Then they should
single
have let
season
him play,
yard,
hands down.
then they should let him.
Yeah.
I know he's not playing this Sunday. They've already announced it. But man, if that man was sitting at 2,004 yards and 21 touchdowns going into week 18, you got to let him ball. You got to. All right. What's your question, Dr. Deuce?
Okay, so it was announced this morning that a certain team, they so-called call themselves America's team, which I don't see because then you're trying to say America's losers, but released a running back again so that he can have a chance of being a contender in the playoffs. What are your thoughts about Zeke being let go, not once, but twice, from the same team, and their excuse is to give him a chance to play for the playoffs because, Dallas doesn't want to be in their playoffs?
My question was, what playoff team do they think needs an aging running back who's lost his legs? Like who needs him? Like I don't see any of the playoff teams out there right now. I don't know, Jared. Do the Buccaneers need a running back?
No. Between Bucky Irvin and White, no, they're good.
I'm bracking around. I mean, the Buccaneers don't need one. The Packers don't need a running back.
I forgot they made the playoff.
Yeah, Packers don't need a running back. Commanders don't need a running back. Detroit don't need a running back.
No.
I'm way back. So no, I don't.
Minnesota already had a chance to sign them. They didn't want them.
Kansas City don't need him. Buffalo don't need him. Baltimore definitely don't need him.
Boy, does
Chargers
Baltimore
don't need him. I don't know if Denver's going to make the playoffs if they don't beat Kansas City this week. I don't know what. Oh
think
my God,
Denver has to win and get in this week.
they have to, but they've had to win to get in the last couple of weeks.
Kansas City has nothing to play for, so I don't know if I don't
Except
know.
Except spoiler.
Yeah, but Andy Reid don't care about that. He really
And
isn't.
I get it.
Huh?
I thought. Yeah, I know they're not playing. They're not. Which would make it even worse if Bo Nix can't beat the freaking subs.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So it's like,
Carson Wentz the backup quarterback?
Yeah, yes he is. And he's not a bad quarterback.
But he's going to be facing a pretty good defense, and we know Carson Wentz gets the cases of the interceptions. So yeah, might be good for Denver. But anyway, so I mean, I don't see any of the. I mean, I understand but that was my first question to my friends that are Cowboys fans was, have y'all heard any rumors about somebody saying, hey, we really need a Zeke at this point in the season? Because yeah, I don't see it. Barring any knock on wood, barring any unforeseen injuries that occur in week 18, I don't see a spot for any of those teams that need to pick up a running back. So I think that's I think that's just a breakup of a bad marriage.
Yeah, I agree. All right, I have only one other question, then we can move forward.
Sure.
What do you think, or what do you believe happened in the Colts-Giants game where the Colts, by all intents and purposes, statistics, common sense, anything, they should have won that game. And to keep their playoff hopes alive, which they had a great chance of making the playoffs if Denver stumbled. They were the next team to make it. What are your thoughts on whatever you call that game on the Colts ended up losing?
So I saw somebody put this out there, and I think that what happened was this, because my Raiders also inexplicably won a game this weekend where we dropped from the number 2 draft spot to number freaking 8 in the draft with a win that helped no one. I mean, I was yelling at the Saints players like, don't y'all have any pride? You're in your own stadium. Like, what are you doing? But somebody put it out there and they said organizations may secretly want to tank front offices, owners. People who don't tank are coaches and players. Coaches and players have pride. They don't go out. They didn't work their entire lives to make it to the NFL to lose games on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So if you put your best players on, the only way to tank is to stop your best players from playing. So if you want to lose the game, you got to sit your players down, because the players are not going to go out there and lose the game on purpose. And that to me is what you saw. I mean, I'm trying to think, what is the the Giants quarterback that was out there playing, like Drew Lock? Where the hell is this Drew Lock being his whole career? This boy is throwing passes to Malik Neighbors that he hadn't thrown ever, running the ball, getting tough yards, getting first downs, rushing. I'm like, dude, this Drew Lock is an NFL quarterback, not a backup. And so I think it's just a sense of, I think that they got that spark in them, but like, okay, we can play spoiler. But I will say this, the Colts, no matter how down they got, they fought until the very end. The Colts did not go gentle into that good night. So I salute to them. Ultimately, it didn't help them, but yeah.
I'm just going to go with the petty answer. Shedeur Sanders Shedeur Sanders has some Giants cleats. They said, "Oh, we don't want that. We don't want that drama. We gonna play." We're like, "Nope." We're like, "Nope." He he has some. They're like, I don't know if he actually wore them. Now there's pictures of some Giants cleats because I've seen them.
Yeah, I saw the
Yeah,
cleats.
Nope.
yeah.
Like, nope.
I think he warmed up in them.
Yeah.
I don't think he warmed during the game. I think he warmed up in them.
They're like,
So
nope. They're like, no,
right,
we do not want the prime drama and all the extra footage that comes with it. They're like, we already messed up with the Saquon. We're gonna we're gonna try
right,
to stay out of the we're gonna try to stay out of the press as much as possible right now and try to recover from
right.
that.
Stay out of the news cycle.
Oh man. All right. Well then let us talk about the Texas League Championship. There was only one game that counted this weekend. So let's get into it. We had a showdown between Math is King and Super Mario Crystal Ballin, the 1 and 2 seeds in the playoffs. Both teams 1 and 2 a lot of the season. We got some pushback a few weeks ago from Super Mario Crystal Ballin when we jabbed at his comment on having a stranglehold on the number 1 seed going into the playoffs. But his team did prevail. So, Dr. Deuce, uh, this was a hard game for you to lose. So, please talk us through your mindset on this game.
Well, after the Tampa Bay game, I'm like, man, I'm up by almost 60 points. I'm like, and that's when I start getting nervous. I'm like, man, the moment you up by like a crazy amount, something crazy is going to happen in the next game. And well, Washington did not let me down. Jaden Daniels going for 38 points. Bijan on Atlanta going for 23. I'm like, okay, this is getting a little close for comfort. And then I'm like, okay, now all he has left is a kicker, and I have a tight end. I'm like, okay, can I be okay? Yes, I could, especially after you got that first extra point blocked. I'm like, oh snap, okay, this might be my win. And then Kittle started getting some catches. There was a lot of penalties. I mean, he had probably at least 6 points, I would say, probably of mine called back. Which, hey, it is what it is. Penalties are penalties. But I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, he has 0 points for his defense because he picked the Colts. I got 16 points for defense. Okay, this is looking good. And then you get closer and closer to the end. I'm like, man, I made a comment on our little group chat. I'm like, man, I'm down by 11. And Brother Cowan over there said, hey, 11 points could swing anytime. I'm like, which is true. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, this ain't swinging for me. I'm like, man, this is going to look bad. That very last touchdown, San Francisco had, what Dobbins was in, not J.K. Dobbins, but
Yeah.
he was in the quarterback, 12-yard line. I'm like, okay, if he throws a quick little touchdown pass to Kittle, me and Cuzzo tie. We will have the exact same points. We would both had whatever he ended up with to the 100th place decimal.
That's
I'm
crazy.
I'm sitting there like that one catch, because that would give me 0.5 yards for the catch, the yards plus the 6 points. It has a 7.2 points that I would have needed to tie. And then so I'd have been texting Jared, hey, we tied. What happens? Are we co-champs? But now when you look at my bench, yeah, I could have someone instead of Jerome Ford in there. I could actually have Quentin Johnson, but he's been stone hands most of the season, so it's hard to trust him at
Yeah.
any given moment. He's had some weeks where he has some great points, but he's had other like I got 0. Or maybe like 0.5 because he got a catch for like a catch for negative yards. And so I was like, So I could have put him in for Keenan Allen and Freiermuth into my other spot. Then I would have maybe won by 1, but you can't shoulda, woulda, coulda after the fact. And so my best chance would have been, him throwing that touchdown pass to Kittle to tie at 161.47.
Every time San Francisco got in the red zone, I was like, is this going to be the Kittle touchdown that
Right.
gets him
That's
back in
what
the
I was
game?
the same way. I'm like, nope. He thrown to everybody else. He threw this one rookie wide receiver. I didn't even know who the cat was. I'm like, I'm glad he's getting all these yards, but can't Kittle get something, man? He's supposed to be your boy. What happened?
Right?
But Kittle played solid. He got me 15 points. I can't
Right.
argue with that. That's a solid performance.
Right.
Well, I was thinking, Baker with his 5 touchdowns, 42 points. I'm like, man, I should be a lock to have this. No, that wasn't in the plans. So,
So
congrats to Cuzzo. I can't even be mad at him. I
You know what I
played
think?
a solid roster.
As I'm looking at his roster, you know what the X factor is? J.K. Dobbins.
Yep, picking him up and starting him.
because that's supposed to be Brian Robinson. I think the point differential is enough for you to win.
7
Yeah.
points.
That's the difference right
But then I would also say you could also look at it like this. Even if what if he hadn't picked him up and just played McMillan? Then the point
Yeah.
differential would have been
Yeah, I would
even
have lost by
greater.
even more. Yeah.
So I'm not when I first saw that he didn't play Justin Herbert and Justin Herbert put up those 30 points, I was like, ooh, that might be crucial.
Yeah, I did too until, Jalen Daniels, rookie of the
Right.
year, easily proved why he's going to be the offensive rookie of the year.
Yeah.
Proved it
Yeah.
time and time again. And
Yeah.
so, my hat's off to Cuzzo. I can't even be angry. But I will say, for the first time in the Texas League history for me and Mr. Cowan in our trades, did I come out on the top side of a damn trade with Mr. Cowan. That Bucky Irvin trade was the best thing I ever did for me at that point in the season. After the Detroit's bye week, I had David Montgomery, of course. David Montgomery was doing great for me all season. But after that bye, me and Mr. Cowan did our annual trade, and he came up with Bucky Irvin for, I'm like, huh. I'm like, okay, well, I'm doing okay. That's not a bad switch off, I guess. And unfortunately, David Montgomery got hurt like a couple of weeks later for Mr. Cowan, and
there.
Bucky Irvin just kept playing strong. I'm like, there's an easy keeper.
So yeah, that definitely worked out. Well, again, congratulations on making the finals. Coming up just short. There's no shame in that. Can only be one champion. So again, we give a salute to the 2024 Texas League champion, Super Mario Cristobal. Uh, I'm sure his plans are on repeating. So we shall see how things shake out as teams position and make their decisions on keepers in the coming months. I'm sure we'll see some trades. We'll see some finagling. We'll see some wheeling and dealing to see
Yeah,
who
because just
gets
to put out
kept.
there, I'm looking for a third keeper spot. If somebody wants a draft pick, just let me know. Hit me up.
Sounds good. All right. So I'm gonna skip that question. We'll just do this. So, but before we wrap this thing up, quick question: what do you think should be the top decision or a top strategy in a dynasty league going into the off season when you have keepers?
Top strategy to find out, especially for your older keepers, whether or not they're going to come back,
Mm.
because that's going to decide whether, we'll just say I'm going to use Derrick Henry because I got him on my squad. Obviously, naturally, I would keep Derrick Henry. But what if he's like, you know what? I've had a good career. I'm hanging the cleats up. If he was to decide
Ooh.
that, I'm like, oh snap. I'm like, okay, now I got to make a quick change because that was naturally going to be one of my keepers. And so I think as a fantasy football owner, for your for your elder statesmen of football players, I call it that. I don't want to call him old because he's still plugging away at a high level,
Right.
for being in the league for so long.
1,800 yards. Yeah, I would say so.
So it'd be just constantly paying attention to sports, seeing what's going on, and finding out whether or not he's going to, hang up the cleats for good, end on a high note. Say if they win the Super Bowl or something, end on a high note, or he'd be like, nope, I need to come back for one more year and break that 2000. Well, he's already broken it once, but I want Eric Dickerson's record. Maybe he just might just say that at the beginning of the year. Talk to Lamar like, hey, can we ease up on some of these yards you running and give them to me? So I can break this record in 13 games. This way nobody can say nothing about an asterisk.
Jared, how about you?
I was gonna say something similar. You gotta look at your elder statesmen, as he said. You also have to, in a dynasty league, we all play in a dynasty league. You gotta look at your roster and say, who can I trade now that I don't think is gonna perform well next year? Like in our dynasty league, I traded Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown to separate people, and that came up with some extra first round picks. You got to look who's coming out in the draft that I think can be beneficial to my team. But for that, you got to wait till the draft to see who drafts them. You're like, oh, I think this guy's gonna be good. Oh, I don't like where he landed. Like you said, you got to keep watch on players. Watch. I don't necessarily want to say watch the combine, but you got to do a little film study. I'm about to watch all these bowl games, see who I can find. Like, oh, okay, I didn't see that guy. Okay. Like,
Indeed.
for example, Chris Godwin. I never really paid no attention to him until him and USC had a shootout in, I want to say, the Rose Bowl. Because everybody has seen Saquon Barkley, but Chris Godwin went off that game too. I'm like, think this guy would be a good fit for the Buccaneers. I didn't think they'd actually draft him,
Mm-hmm.
but we got him. I'm like, okay. So when we draft him, I'm like, I remember that guy from the Rose Bowl. And besides injuries, he's been a good receiver. But you just got to look and
That's what's up. I think you have to, especially when you're a later first round pick or whatever, with our dynasty, our keepers are our first 2 round picks. So you got to kind of, or they're our last picks. However, I can't remember how it's set up now. But you got to kind of look at your team and look at where you're positioned. So for your cousin, for example, when you're coming off a championship, that means you have some pretty good players on your team. You got to make your decision do I think that what I have is better than the potential pick that I have in the first or second round? Like, I know we only have 2 keepers, but if I can trade away these first 2 picks and keep my core together, I think that gives me a better shot at repeating than rolling the dice. So, yeah. Very good. All right, gentlemen, what games you looking forward to this weekend?
Oh, that old chestnut of a game between where is that team playing now? I think Las Vegas.
Oh, I'm quite sure you know where the game is, sir.
No, I'm definitely looking forward to the Chargers Raiders game. I mean, I have to. I mean, yeah, I know there are arch rivals, but at least they ain't the My Little Ponies. So, I'm okay with that. I gotta watch that game, hands down. That's honestly the only game I care about this weekend is just that game.
I don't think you guys are going to play your starters.
Oh, I know we're not, but I still want to win. Actually, you know what? No, I think we're going to play our starters for the first half. I don't think we're going to play them the whole game. And I think only because
you're going to play tissue paper Herbert in the first half.
Listen to me though. Here's the reason why I would play him in the first half. Number one, we do exceptional in the first half. It's the second half that gets us. And so, other than when we played New England, we actually played a solid 60 minutes. But I can see them playing the starters in the first half only because if Cincinnati beats Pittsburgh, then we got to go to Houston and not freaking Baltimore. So we still have an outside shot of being the 5 seed instead of the 6. And I'd rather go to Houston indoors than go to Baltimore and get, mollywopped again.
Fair enough.
Hey, there's no Max Crosby. He might be all right.
He might be.
He
might be, but I mean, yeah. So we shall see. What about you, Jared?
Obviously, got to make sure my Bucks beat the Saints. Also got to keep an eye on the Falcons and the Panthers.
So what's the scenario for the NFC South this weekend for the Buccaneers?
If I'm not mistaken, first and foremost, we gotta beat the Saints, and they haven't been good all year, so that should be a win. But it's a division game, so never say never. Right. And then on top of that,
yeah, because if the Falcons win and Tampa loses, Falcons make it.
Yeah,
because Falcons have the tiebreaker. Falcons have that tiebreaker.
Wow, I did not realize that they had the tiebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like for some reason, our defense let Kirk Cousins look good.
Oh, I remember that game now.
Twice.
I remember that game. I'm just remembering the first one where I was just like, wow, how did that happen at the end of the game?
Mm-hmm. So Tampa wins, they're in. Simple. They win, they're in. They win their division.
Exactly. We're in. But I would just like to see the Falcons lose just for just for petty.
Hey, you don't want to see the young QB Penix succeed. That's cold-blooded, man.
Well, it's just like I want to see Denver lose just to laugh and watch Cincinnati sneak into the playoffs if Miami loses.
As do I. I would also like to see Denver lose, just to see that look on Sean Payton's face.
But in order for Cincinnati to win, the Jets have to beat Miami, and I don't know if they're going to beat Miami.
Right?
Raheem Morris did coach for the Bucks at one point. He actually was a coach at K-State at one point. So,
yes, he was.
Side note, K-State had a really black coaching staff at one point. I forgot about.
Yes, Ron Prince's black coaching staff.
It was Ron Prince, Raheem Morris, and James Franklin.
Yeah, I was in marching band at that time. I remember. I'm like, oh shoot.
Talking about this, that was the most black coaches that you're probably ever gonna see a coach at K-State
in the state of Kansas. Period.
Right. outside of a very black high school.
Right, exactly.
Probably one in Wichita. So
Yeah,
The Heights, where my wife's family all went growing up.
there you go.
But okay, well, gentlemen, it's been an honor and a pleasure as usual to go through the season. Texas League has concluded for the year, but we already know that the cajoling and behind the scenes wheeling and dealing has already begun as everyone begins the quest to win the 2025 championship.
I will be back.
All right. Salute to both of you gentlemen. Good luck to everybody's team this weekend.
Except the Raiders.
Except for the Chargers, because you know my rule. Good luck to your
Yeah.
team unless you're facing mine. So
And that's, hey, I have the same rule. Good luck to your team unless you face mine or you're the Raiders.
no love to the Sparklers, baby.
I just want to see one more week with Mr. Morrow, Brother Morrow, with that Chargers emblem on his stuff. Just one more time. One more time.
No. We've done enough of that this season. We're gonna start this year off right. All right, gentlemen. Have a good one.
All right.